The experiment begins with the two scientists introducing themselves, and then they bring in the wild man, who, as one can clearly see, is uncivilized and wild. This experiment hopes to fix that behavior. The wild man is brought a stimulus, a bag of chips. Having never seen a bag of chips before, the wild man acts upon his instincts, thus destroying the bag of chips. The wild man, a comfortable distance away, watches as a scientist brings another scientist a similar bag of chips, and observes how the scientist interacts with those chips. He then notices that positive reinforcement is given to the scientist when she acts that certain way with the stimulus. The wild man reflects on what he's just seen. This time, when presented with the stimulus of the bag of chips, the wild man acts the same way the scientist did when she was presented with it, because he knows he will receive positive reinforcement, as he does. A similar test is performed, where the scientist brings the wild man a glass of water, again something he hasn't seen before, and he acts according to his instincts. Again at a comfortable distance, the wild man observes as one scientist brings another scientist a similar glass of water, and watches how he acts with it, and again he sees that he is being positively reinforced for acting that way. The wild man reflects once more. When presented with the stimulus of the glass of water again, the wild man acts according to how the scientist acted with the glass of water, knowing that when he does, he will receive positive reinforcement. This experiment has shown that when given a certain stimulus, the wild man will act upon his instincts. But if the wild man is allowed to observe a scientist acting with the object in a certain way, he learns that this is the proper way to act with it, based upon the fact of positive reinforcement. An interview was conducted with the wild man afterwards to learn what he had to say.
Why did you first react the way you did when first presented with the stimuli?
Well, you see, when I was first presented with the stimuli, I wasn't exactly sure how to react to it because I'd never seen something like that before, so I reacted how my instincts told me. And obviously, that wasn't correct.
So, why did you act differently when presented with it the second time?
Well, I sat down and observed the scientists acting in a way that was different than I was when presented with the said stimuli, acting in a much more civilized manner. And I thought that at first that was a little strange, but then I saw another scientist positively reinforcing that behavior. So I immediately assumed then that that must be the right way to do it. So I I acted differently the second way, therefore to bring forth a positive reinforcement myself, because I like praise.
So, can you tell me what you learned from this experiment?
Well, what I've learned most from this experiment is how, through observational learning, it can be really easy for a child to pick up on certain behaviors from their parents early on by observing them behave that way and then being positively reinforced. And it's also taught me how a wild man like myself, through watching others, can learn to be civilized in a monkey see, monkey do kind of way.